Welcome to the Nagual Zone. This is Anaam. A user called Groove is in the Heart. Great name. In my video called What is the End Game of the Toltec Path, I believe it's called, he asked a great question. He says, could you talk about compassion, please? Castaneda said, warriors are incapable of feeling compassion because they no longer feel sorry for themselves. Without the driving force of self-pity, compassion is meaningless. So, this is a really, really great question that deserves a video all its own, on its own. I want to start this with telling you there's in the description of the video below, read carefully this episode of Don Juan and Carlos Castaneda in a restaurant with these children that they're watching, and they have this amazing discussion, a very, very interesting discussion, where Don Juan presents to Carlos Castaneda an alternative view to this very question. Hopefully you will find a few different angles, some practical angles in this video that might help you clock it a little bit better. So make sure you read that description, that story really well, and read it a few times. Really allow it to sink in and come up with your own thoughts about what is Don Juan saying? Why is he saying that? It's a clear difference between the average man's way of thinking, which is represented by Carlos's bewilderment and surprise at what Don Juan is saying, and the Toltec way of thinking, which is represented obviously by Don Juan. Let's now go over to Google and see what Google has to say about the word compassion. If I put in the search words compassion meaning in Google, here's what comes up. The first one is compassion, noun, sympathetic pity. That's Google. That's the popular meaning for the word compassion. Sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. Quote unquote, the victims should be treated with compassion. Then you have underneath, for me at least on my screen, it's appearing, what does compassion really mean? Under people also ask section, let's click on that. Compassion. If someone shows kindness, caring, and a willingness to help others, they're showing compassion. This is a word for a very positive emotion that has to do with being thoughtful and decent. When you have compassion, you're putting yourself in someone else's shoes and really feeling for them. This is from vocabulary.com. So you see, one is saying sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings of others. The other one is not saying the same thing. Don't be mistaken. It's not saying the same thing. The other one is kindness, caring, and a willingness to help others. A willingness to put yourself in someone else's shoes and allow the and what do you feel when you do that? You see? So my point is that if you have 5 people in front of you, the 6 of you are going to have 6 different meanings for compassion. The word compassion is an extremely subjective word. In the dictionary, in the idealistic world, which people love to debate as if idealism is real, there's no reality about idealism. So people debate as if idealism is real, but compassion really means blah, blah. It's in the dictionary, yeah. No one cares because no one's acting that way in the world. So let's just stick with reality, right? So 6 of you are going to have 6 different meanings. So 5 people, you're dealing with 5 different targets. Too many moving targets to deal with. Are you going to process all of that? Are you going to make sure everyone is happy, that everyone is agreed what they mean by compassion? Then you do this and then you do. It's too long-winded. A Toltec doesn't have the time, motivation, or inclination to do all this long-winded stuff, to walk up the stairs when you've got the elevator right there. So this is my tip, this is my take, this is what I would do. When confronted with 5 people asking me about what compassion really means, it is just a waste of time to establish 5 different subjective conversations. I am very clear as a warrior that my main business in each moment is to generate and circulate high quality energy. Remember this one. Remember it. As a warrior, the warrior's first, chief, main concern, always, everywhere, and ever, forever and ever, is to become a generator, a powerhouse of high quality energy, which means your body is constantly emitting high quality energy. I talked about high quality and low quality energy in my previous video. Go check it out. Secondly, you are to establish lines of communication or interaction with your surroundings, be it people or any living beings or inanimate objects, whatever all your surroundings, you must establish a torus field, which is what Groove is in the Heart corrected me in that comment. It's a torus field. Thank you for that. Thank you for the question, by the way, as well. Appreciate that. You are to constantly and instinctively, you are to become the kind of person that is instinctively, subconsciously establishing a torus field, a circulatory field of high quality energy with your surroundings. So your body is constantly generating and circulating high quality energy. Now, with that in mind, pause this video, pause it, and now go to the description again. And with this paradigm in mind, that a warrior is always seeking to establish high quality energy exchange with their surroundings, read that scenario again between Don Juan and Castaneda and those children, the street children. Read it again with this paradigm. What do you find? Don Juan's words will make perfect sense to you. You will not be bewildered. You will not have the question of what is compassion. That question will evaporate because you will have dropped into your body. Your body is concerned with only one thing. Make no mistake about it. Your body is concerned with one thing and one thing alone: how to generate a high quality energy matrix, a high quality energy exchange with its surroundings at all times, because that's what it's naturally and organically designed to do. Now, the average man's world is a world. Why is the average man's world so toxic? You know why it's so toxic? Because the average man's world does everything in its power and beyond to get you to establish low quality energy fields with your surroundings, inside and outside. This is the main fundamental difference in the body mechanics, the bodies, the batteries, the battery quality, or whatever you want to call it, of the warrior and of the average man. That is why personal power is so important for the warrior. Unbending intent. Because to be able to get to a place, to be able to have that stamina of learning and evolution, which takes decades. You heard me talk about this often. This is not the line of work for impatient people, for entitled people who think they just want results right now without paying any costs for it, right? You've heard me talk about long-term planning often. I don't say these things lightly. It takes a long time to become the kind of person that, in a world that is specifically and strategically designed to keep your body constantly generating low quality energy, it takes a very different kind of training. You don't read books and become that. Training. Formal, strategic education. Okay? It takes that to make you into the kind of person whose body is instinctively generating high quality exchange with its surroundings. Is this clear so far? So, in light of this paradigm, what is compassion? If those 5 people were, there's too many, remember, too many birds to shoot, because you got 5 different meanings for compassion you're dealing with. Now, narrow it down. Take command of the field by narrowing the whole thing down to one paradigm. How can I establish a high quality energy exchange with all 5 of them? Make sense? Suddenly, you're not having to people please. You're not having to fend off miscommunication. You're not having to deal with 5 different interpretations of compassion or love or all these things that swim around in people's head, right? You have narrowed it down to where it's manageable. And you and everyone else gets to walk away with having an experience of a high quality energy exchange. Okay, how does pity come into this? As we know, a warrior is someone who, after honing and tempering themselves over the course of many years and being very honest with themselves, have arrived at a place in themselves called the place of no pity. What does that mean? In simple words, it means the victim has died. The victim's back has been broken permanently. The victim is unable to have any power over your thoughts, feelings, and emotions and behavior. It's not that you avoid being the victim or you have to be reminded, oh, I'm a warrior, I should not be a victim. No, it doesn't even, it's gone, it's finished. There is nothing there where a victim used to be. There's nothing there. It's an empty space. Now, everyone can convince themselves that I'm not a victim anymore, I'm a hero, I'm a knight in shining armor, I'm going to now save the world and influence others and blah, 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 how to win friends and influence others. That's not the kind of lack of victimhood I'm talking about. That's just manipulation. When the warrior does not have anything within them that they can relate to as the victim in their surroundings, what's left? It's true. How do you generate the popular notion of compassion when victimhood isn't in the picture? Remember what Google said compassion was? The popular meaning for compassion in the average man's world is closely associated with pity. Now, if you have no pity, you are at a place of no pity, what happens to compassion? That is why the warrior strategically narrows down all the bullshit, because it's too much to deal with. It's too much fluff to deal with. 5 different subjective meanings of the same word. Bring it down to how can I establish a high quality energy exchange here? This will keep you in profit, as it were, as in terms of energy at all times. And in fact, it'll keep you creating more and more wealth in terms of energy. I promise you will never lack for energy if you lack compassion. Compassion will drain your energy each time because it is very close to people pleasing. Again, read the description, read that scenario between Don Juan and Castaneda just below in the video, and tell me that Don Juan's view is wrong or lacking somehow in terms of energy exchange. So those children that were there and Castaneda was feeling so much pity for them, if Castaneda had understood the principle of energy, what Don Juan was trying to tell him, he would have been content with creating a high quality exchange between himself and the children, and his actions and behavior would have resulted from that concern, rather than helping them out of their pitiful circumstances. Oh, they're suffering. I feel for them. No, 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 no. You don't feel for anything except yourself. Let's just get it very, very clear here. I have not yet come across a truly selfless person. You would cease to exist if you were selfless, like in the idealistic world of the gurus and the spiritual texts and the religions and the monks and the nuns and the saints and Gandhi and Nelson Mandela and all your saints and sinners and all the bollocks and nonsense. No, there is no one who is selfless to where they could actually answer to the popular description of compassion. Not possible. Ask any psychiatrist, any psychologist, they'll tell you. So what are we left with? We are left with honesty. What is tugging at my heartstrings here in this scenario? Why am I feeling for these children? What is my need here? Is my need to make things better for them? Or is there something deeper at play within me that I need to look at? Yeah, in the Bible, there's a fabulous exchange between Jesus and his disciples. I have no idea the reference of it. When I was I spent 3 years this is decades and decades ago, 3 years in a hardcore evangelistic Christian cult, like a proper cult. It was brilliant. Fabulous. I mean, I'm grateful to that experience to this day. I learned so much in there. And in those days, I would have quoted you the verse and the chapter and the rest of it from that. And I've done it all. I've done the preaching and the doom and gloom, and I've knocked on doors, and I've done the works. I've seen the world from many different street viewpoints. Anyway, so there's an exchange where the people ask Jesus, I think it's disciples ask him, I haven't read the Bible in years and years and years, and they ask him about the poor. We should help the poor. We should help, make their lives better, this, that, all the rest of it. Jesus reply, and you would think that Jesus would say, yes, it's true, we should really help the poor. I'm going to open up orphanages and schools to educate the children, and I'm going to, do this and do that and all the good works. Fine, not a problem with those things. Go right ahead and do them. Jesus says something very interesting. He said, you will always have the poor with you. The world will always have the poor but to be concerned with the kingdom of God and so on and so forth. So basically he's saying, don't worry about the poor. Don't, worry about the kingdom of God within you. So you can go ahead and find out that I might be misquoting, I might be misremembering. That's totally, possible. But it doesn't negate the idea, this myth of compassion. Don't get taken in by this Dalai Lama and all your gurus and, the Buddhist monks talking about compassion. They know zero things. They know nothing about compassion. They sit in their robes and it's a cult. They have their uniform. I know cults. Believe me, I know cults. And Buddhist monks and all these people in their monasteries, it's a cult. It's a benevolent cult, but it's a cult nonetheless. So it's up to you. You want to learn from that stuff. No one's stopping you. Go right ahead. Chances are you just won't understand what the hell they're talking about because they don't understand what the hell they're talking about. It's all my master told me. Someone else told me, and I haven't found any Buddhists who actually understood what the hell compassion really was because they never arrived at the place of no pity within themselves. Now, I'm sure there are plenty of monks and, people who do arrive at that place within themselves, but then they stop behaving like the popular expectation of the word compassion. The place of no pity is a very, very adventurous place to arrive in yourself, and it's hardcore. Because when you stop behaving like a victim in a world of victims that expect you to behave like them, those nails and that cross and that crucifixion is not far off. So you better be a very good stalker by the time you arrive at the place of no pity, because it's a merciless place to be. If people, it can really threaten people. It really threaten people. That is why I recommend something called nonviolent communication. It's a skill set. You can acquire it. You can learn it. You educate yourself. By a guy called Marshall Rosenberg. I highly recommend you becoming proficient in the art of nonviolent communication. It'll teach you a lot about yourself, a lot about the world around you, and how to really communicate in truth and honesty with others, so that you end up establishing high quality exchanges with your surroundings at all times. With that, I hope this answers your question, Groove is in the Heart. And if it doesn't, fine, just tell me what else, what is not clear, or what was lacking in here. How could it have, because right now there's so many other things I could talk about compassion and what you said about the place of no pity and all that, that it would fill an hour-long video easily. But I can't just, lay down every single point. It just take forever. So hopefully I just flow with whatever comes, as a stream of consciousness kind of thing. And that is what you are meant to have in this video. Do you know what I mean? So with that, let me know what you guys think. What do you think? What do you think compassion is? Do you think that the exchange between Don Juan and Castaneda in the description below is... what are your thoughts on that? What are your comments on that? Let me know. Walk in freedom. Stay connected. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.